Hello everyone, welcome to Ekam Academy. So today is 3rd February 2025 and Hindu newspaper may you know what are the editorials which are going to come upcoming in the following weeks as the budget has released. Nirmala Sitharaman ji has released the budget where few areas are having some grey concerns and few areas they wantedly deliberately have did and few areas are very good. So we have to analyze and enhance the budget. Never try to criticize the government. Being a UPSC aspirant, at least don't try to criticize the government. Try to find out the loopholes in it. Try to get the solutions for that particular segment. Here. So if you could see the today's editorial heading is like beyond tax cuts. As everyone know, everyone is speaking about the tax regime which has been increased up to 12 lakhs as such. A closer read of the union budget, what all are the targets, what all are the facts deliberately which are necessary. I have consolidated this particular budget segment. We are going to check out and please try to remember those particular segments as such. And they have presented, the finance minister have presented this particular budget at a time of significant macroeconomic challenges. While this particular budget have a roadmap, see, they are speaking about Viksit Bharat 2047. Ab say like most of your answers have to have this key word called as Viksit Bharat. Whenever you write answers in economy, polity, sustainable development, Viksit Bharat is the word which you have to carry along with you. Until now, we were carrying sustainable development in UPSC. From now, you carry Viksit Bharat as such. If you see the roadmap for Viksit Bharat, encompassing key sectors of agriculture, like I have felt that in past 10 years, BJP, despite it has given good amount to agriculture, but this year it has given a prior top seat because in those areas where agriculture is dominant, BJP has lost number of seats. So BJP also thought that if we are not going to focus on agriculture sector, then it is going to lose those particular seats. This might be their thinking, I might be wrong in my opinion too, but this is what I have felt. In the past 10 years, BJP did not give a clear chit to the agriculture, but this year, in this financial year, in this budget 25-26, they have given a larger consolidation to this particular agriculture. And if you see, manufacturing sector also have given a dominant role. MSMEs, they have become the key driver because around 60% of the export contribution is done by MSMEs. So they have given that particular segment also equal importance. Social welfare, infrastructure, all these are there. They have created a diversified budget. Budget is somewhat friendly, having all the segments included, but the only thing, the course of concern is execution, implementation bottlenecks. It is not the problem in this particular government or in this particular financial year. It is the problem of every government, every budget, that execution is what the critical course of concern is. Budget may, like, they would be giving bhashan and they would be going, we are going to spend this much, we are going to spend this much, but what is the real execution which have happened and how much amount of execution have happened, this is the course of concern is. It is crucial to examine certain segments, like in the entire budget. If you see, there are certain segments which we have to analyze, like fiscal consolidation strategy, tax revisions, manufacturing incentives, agriculture initiatives, external sector policies and climate commitments outlined in the budget, both in strengths and limitations. So we have to focus mainly whenever we see budget, we have to focus upon these particular segments. Fiscal consolidation strategy, tax revisions is one particular segment, manufacturing incentive is one area which have to be focused, agriculture as it is, what are the initiatives they have launched, and external sector policies and climate commitments which have been outlined. This is what the most area which I have focused in this particular article. So आगे जाके critical evaluation of key budget announcements अगर आप देखेंगे, the first one is fiscal consolidation, most important, a questionable target. The key highlight of the budget is fiscal consolidation of target of reducing the fiscal deficit to 4.4% of the GDP by financial year 26. So they want to reduce this particular fiscal deficit. Do remember this particular keyword called as fiscal consolidation. What does it imply? And what is fiscal deficit? You have to remember these particular two terminologies. Chances are great on basis of this definitions might appear in your UPSC preliminary examination. So what was the target which they have kept? 4.4% of the GDP by the end of this particular financial year. So would they reach or not? That is also a course of concern every time. However, the ambitious goal relies on overly optimistic revenue projections, including 11.2% in total tax revenues and 14.4% in income tax revenues. So, as the old tax regime system, if you could see, as they have introduced the new tax regime system, they are thinking that as we have reduced, as everyone is benefiting from the new tax regime, they are estimating that total tax collection would be increased by 11.2 percentage, but this is just a projection. And total income tax revenue also they are projecting that we would be having an increase of 14.4%. But if this really happens, then the fiscal consolidation target of fiscal deficit, which is 4.4, through this particular 11% and 14% in the income tax, this 4.4% of the GDP can be achieved. If this is reached, this would be reached. Clear? And giving the economic headwinds such as declining domestic consumption and weakening external demand, these estimates appear questionable. So we have less domestic consumption and external demand which are there for Indian products. As we see, they are very limited. And now ये ट्रम्प आके बैठा हमारा सिर के ऊपर ट्रेड टैरिफ दिमाग खराब करते हुए. So by seeing this, are these particular targets going to be reached is the major question which we have. But if it is reached, fiscal consolidation जरूर होगा. And success of second asset monetization plan 2530 remains uncertain considering the underperformance of the previous program. The first asset monetization program, which was from 2020 to 2025, that itself has remained a question. Now, the second asset monetization plan would be under the questionable task. The estimated borrowings, if you see 11.45 lakh in net market borrowings, further raises concerns about potential crowding out of private investments at a time when credit demand is already subdued. See, how we can, government started coming out of this particular public sector enterprises and concerns about potential crowding out of private investment at a time when credit demand is already subdued. This is what the course of concern is. This is what the net borrowing completely which India has, and achieving these revenue targets. So how we can achieve, how we can pay this amount, how we can target the fiscal deficit of 4.4%. For achieving all these fiscal consolidation targets, first is we require improved tax collection. For this, from individual side and societal side also, we require huge amount of support. And tax collection efficiency, realistic monetization strategies. Not on the paper. Hawa mein to main bhi bolta hu, but what is the realistic strategy which we are required with? And disciplined fiscal management. Where the funds are going? Are you going to give more freebies? Are you going to insert more and more social welfare programs? Despite not necessary also if you are giving revenue system like grants to those particular states just because of vote bank politics. Bihar mein jo kar rahe hain aap, hai na? So people also know, but I can't criticize it on a direct note that government is having somewhat like a separate segment. Last year, if you see, as elections were there, government has given huge amount of funding to South India. Now they have diverted it to Bihar. Despite every government would be doing this vote bank politics, but people would be watching where your fiscal management is going, in which sectors you are investing. And in the past videos, if I could say, Ministry of External Affairs had less budget, and in this particular segment also, if you could see, Nirmala Sitharaman ji has given very less budget in this particular consideration as such. Clear? And if you see second important target after the fiscal consolidation, we have to focus upon tax revisions. And government thinks that this tax revision or tax regime is going to boost this disposable income, but at a cost. The target of what we have of increasing 14.4 percentage of income tax, they are thinking that in this particular new tax regime, they are going to achieve this segment. And the revisions in personal income tax rate under the new tax regime offer relief to the middle income taxpayers with incomes up to 12 lakh effectively exempt from the tax. So people whoever are in that particular bracket zone of 1 lakh rupee per month, so they have been given the complete exemption from this particular tax as such. And while the measure may enhance disposable income and consumer spending, so obviously when this measure would be there, what would happen is wherever the income goes, clear, we would be having huge amount of income disposal and huge amount of spending, local domestic spending would be increased, where the chances might trigger in inflation because of increase in demand side and people having lot and lot of money, and consumer spending would be increased due to this disposable income and consumer spending. It comes at a significant cost at 1 lakh crore in the foreign direct tax revenue, 1 lakh crore in the foregone direct tax revenue as such. So it comes at a significant cost of this particular segment. But what government is thinking is, see, for example, if I am spending 1 lakh, because अगर मान लेते कि 1 लाख रुपए मेरा बच गया, तो मैं 1 लाख क्या कर रहा हूं, मैं मार्केट में कुछ तो कुछ ले रहा हूं. एंड व्हेन आई एम buying something in the market, all the GSTs are applicable to this segment. So in some or the other way, let it be the direct income tax or let it be the spending which I am doing, they are increasing the consumption in this particular regard. And also with that particular consumption, we are however paying the tax to the government, but we are getting some assets or we are getting some commodities in that particular regard. This loss, whichever the new tax regime is there, the loss which is there, that could constrain the government's ability to fund critical development initiatives. क्योंकि ये जो tax regime है, इससे जो loss हो रहा है 1 lakh crore, so government can't make a physical arrangement for certain thing where it is thinking that it is highly responsible. But what government is saying that because of this 14.4 percentage would be increased. We have to check out. This is just a projection what government has given. Particularly when public investment in infrastructure and social welfare remains vital. So maybe possibility is there that with this loss of 1 lakh crore, the infrastructure building might reduce and social welfare programs might be a question which are very vital for Viksit Bharat 2047. Chances are there this loophole might come. And because of this, there might be a triggering of inflation also. And a public spending when they would be increased, that results into huge amount of demand, and the demand might increase the inflation. Again, what Indian value rupee would be there, that is a questionable task here in the tax revision. The tax cut comes at the time when household savings have declined to 18.4 percentage of GDP. So this household savings which have declined from 18.4% of GDP, raising concerns about their long-term sustainability. The challenges lies in balancing immediate fiscal stimulus. Do remember this keyword, fiscal stimulus, fiscal deficit, fiscal consolidation. Try to remember these three keywords with the need for long-term economic resilience in India. So government is just creating a tax regime as of a sudden. Clear? Itna sudden karna nahi chahiye. There has to be some stagnancy in the market, stability in the market. And for long-term economic resilience, we should immediately balance this particular fiscal stimulus is the task which we have as of now. So this is the second ground area. First is fiscal consolidation, second is tax regime, which you have to understand in the budget. Third, अगर आप देखेंगे manufacturing sector, progress, but already from back then we have huge amount of gaps in it. The budget reaffirms India's ambition to become a global manufacturing hub for sure, because they have given good amount of contribution to this manufacturing sector. but concerns persist regarding the sector's underperformance, which only contributes 17% of GDP. Jitna government is pushing, the output is not coming in that way. Rather than this manufacturing sectors, if you push the same amount into other sectors, chances are there we might have much and much progress, but still government is awaiting for the better results as such. And government has introduced these production linked incentive schemes. They have had moderate success in certain industries like electronics. Their scalability and effectiveness remains uncertain, but industries like electronics, they have shown good results by this particular production link incentive schemes which are launched by the government. Positive measures जो government ने start किया, already you know the credit facilities how they are giving to the farmers in the similar way. They have increased it to the MSMEs, a national manufacturing mission, and revised MSME classification criteria might improve business efficiency, but this is high course of concern. Whatever we are dedicatedly putting into this manufacturing sector, rather than the service sector, despite we give less amount of significance, their contribution to the GDP rate is very, very high. But manufacturing sector GDP rate, if you see, it is 17%. But there shall be some stagnant performance which we have to go, where we have to increase the global demand, where we have to increase the domestic production, then we have to make qualitative product, then we have to compete in the global market. Then abhi ye Trump ke saath halla bulla jo hai, that we have to manage. Then only, and Europe, you know, common the carbon border management tax which European country has put. Now the US acting as a market for India. Our pure nationalist Trump, he is creating some trade related issues. So say how we are going to tackle this 17%, it is a questionable task. And if you could see deep structural issues such as regulatory inefficiencies, there are high amount of regulatory inefficiencies. Infrastructure deficits are there, but government is improving in this regard. And weak innovation capacity. As of now, post COVID, the innovation capacity as such got reduced, and which have been remained unaddressed in this situation. India's industrial R&D investment stands at mere 0.6%, which has to give the highest priority. It has been not 1% of the GDP also, which is a concern, significantly lagging behind innovation driven economies like China and Germany. If we have to move towards third largest economy as soon as possible by 2030, innovation in the investment and R&D का investment जो है, इसका percentage improve करे तो, then we will tackle with our global competitors China and Germany. Without sustained investment in research, nothing is going to happen as such. And infrastructure and regulatory reforms, India's manufacturing ambitions may fall short of the expectations. So हर बार यही 15, 16, 17 पे खड़े हो जाएंगे. But if we still have to raise, then R&D investment, sustained investment in research, infrastructure and regulatory reforms have to be made. So some other key themes of the budget and remaining gaps, if you see, agriculture a strategic shift but missed opportunities. Recognizing agriculture as the key pillar, the budget initiative introduced initiatives such as Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. 2025 UPSC question. 2025 UPSC question, maximum prelims में ही chances है इसका question. धन धान्य कृषि योजना and National Mission on High Yielding Seeds. National Mission on High Yielding Seeds to enhance productivity and climatic resilience. ये दोनों के ऊपर कहीं ना कहीं आपको ये क्वेश्चन दिखेगा 2025 में. एंड किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड का इंक्रीज है ना, लोन लिमिट्स फ्रॉम 3 lakhs to 5 lakh तक देना, इट्स अ गुड मूव एक्चुअली, बिकॉज फार्मर्स आर फेसिंग डिफिकल्टी इन organizing the formal credit setup as such. And targeted interventions in low productivity districts signal a move towards precision support rather than the blanket subsidies. However, these measures do not fully address systematic inefficiencies in the agricultural markets. But Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, National Mission on High Yielding Varieties, Kisan Credit Card, they might give up some ease for the stress which is there in the agricultural sector as such. And focus on short-term credit enhancement perpetuates farmers' dependency on loans without tackling issues like price volatility and market access. सो फार्मर्स को ये बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. So government is giving MSPs, but those MSPs are not sufficient. There are huge amount of price volatilities in the market, and market access for the farmers have become a huge task. Additionally, budget misses an opportunity to promote agricultural exports. So as India has to promote and stand on this particular segment of agri exports and increase in agri exports in various segments, particularly in emerging sectors like millets. India is known as home for millets and organic farming का जो product है, this particular consideration has been missed out, which has have positioned India as a global leader in millets and organic farming, organic crops, millets exclusively. As already Modi at the global forums, many global forums he has spoken regarding with the millets. So chances might have improved that India might have been the leading producer, but for self consumption it is there, but export oriented India is not that great in millets. So India might have become a global leader if by promoting these agricultural exports exclusively in organic farming crops as well as millets, but government has missed this particular opportunity as we see. And external sector, if you see inadequate responses to the global challenges, India's external sector policies received limited attention in the budget despite growing trade deficits. We have huge trade deficits and currency depreciation challenges. Right now, we have this particular currency depreciation challenges. Growing trade deficits are there, but it is the least focused area by the government in the budget. This is the loophole as we have. While services exports, particularly in IT and business processes outsourcing, IT and business processes continue to perform well. As you know, India is a hub for this IT and business process outsourcing. Efforts to diversify the export portfolio remain insufficient. Rather than only focusing upon IT and business process outsourcing, India has remained silent, or India has quit, or India has become stagnant in that approach to diversify this particular portfolio. Apart from this business, IT and business process outsourcing, we doesn't have any other segments as such. Initiatives like Bharat Trade Net and export credit support for MSMEs are positive steps. MSMEs को like थोड़ा बहुत credit support मिला है. As you know, MSMEs contribute a large. They are the positive steps, but they lack the scale necessary to address India's persistent trade balance as such. So this is what we have to focus as such. Moreover, budget fails to introduce comprehensive export strategy for high value sectors like pharmaceutical sector, renewable energy, advanced electronics, which are crucial for integrating India into global supply chains. A more aggressive push in these particular areas is very much required, where government has missed this particular opportunity. Government has missed this particular opportunity, and more aggressive push in this particular areas could have enhanced export competitiveness and strengthened India's economic resilience as such. There we need a great segment of this particular region where government did not focus. And climatic commitments, if you see, incremental rather than transformative. While the budget signals intent on climate action, its financial commitments remains cautious. There is no much budget allocated to this. Key measures include lithium iron battery recycling, where we have found the lithium resources also, and this incentive which is there, which is an initiative. This is one segment. Duty exemptions on critical minerals. Totally in India, we have 30 critical minerals list. Every country on basis of their strategic need, on the basis of their value supply chain, on the basis of their presence as an importance for advanced technologies, they prepare their own list. For India, we have 30 critical minerals. Chances are there question might come from this critical minerals this year, or either the question might come from this lithium. And support for domestic solar and battery manufacturing also. These are the positive intents of budget signal which we can see in this particular climate action. These steps generally reduce to import dependence and strengthen supply chain resilience as such in India. So climatic commitments जैसे वादा किया वैसा नहीं है, but some segments are there from where questions might come. Domestic solar and battery manufacturing, lithium iron battery recycling and critical minerals. See, give a special focus on critical minerals. Give a special focus on critical minerals as such. However, without parallel investments in grid modernization, energy storage, and industrial decarbonization, India's transition to low carbon economy will remain fragmented. And our jo target hai net zero emission, unless and until this grid modernization, you know, where all the elements come into picture and one authority regulates it, we are not going to reach this particular target of net zero emission as such. The climatic actions, the climatic thinking or environmental governance or environmental setup by the government, it appears in a fragmented nature, and more transformative push is required, such as higher budgetary allocation for renewable infrastructure and carbon capture technologies. Higher budget iske liye chahiye, and would have accelerated progress towards the sustainable growth or whatever India have this particular net zero emissions. COP26, COP27, COP28, COP29, whatever we have spoke, for that to happen, more and more budgetary allocation is required as such. And finally, union budget का conclusion अगर आप देखेंगे, this conclusion is very important. It presents a vision for economic growth, fiscal discipline, structural reforms. Presents a vision for economic growth का vision है, fiscal discipline as fiscal consolidation and targets are there, and structural reforms, but falls short in execution strategies. As I have said, this is a problem with India every time. The measures like tax cuts, MSME support, agricultural reforms and climate initiatives reflect positive intent. Concerns remain over their sustainability and effectiveness, and the fiscal consolidation target appears ambitious, and the reliance on optimistic revenue projections raises question about its feasibility. How feasibility is, how the market is going to behave, how the percentages would be reached, that is a question ever, because it's just on the paper. And ultimately, the success of budget will depend upon the government's ability to implement its policies effectively while maintaining. Ultimately, the success of this budget will depend on government's ability to implement its policies effectively while maintaining economic stability. So, government ability to implement its policies effectively while maintaining economic stability. ये सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं कि हाँ तुम्हें 10 लाख, चलो तुम्हें 1 करोड़ दो. So ऐसा नहीं है. Fiscal management, fiscal consolidation, reaching the targets, addressing the issues along with economic sustainability and environmental sustainability. If government could impart, that would give more and more essence as such. And coming to the questions of the day, these kind of questions already have appeared. One previous year question which appeared is, one of the intended objectives of Union Budget 2017-18 is to transform, energize and clean India. Analyze the measures proposed in Budget 2017-18 to achieve the objective. So here हो सकता है analyze 2025 and 2026 वाला. Critically analyze the feasibility of Union Budget 2025's fiscal and economic targets amid prevailing economic challenges. So this is the practice question which I have given. You can, if you want, you can just take a screenshot so that you write these particular answers for the questions. Agar if you are facing difficulties, please, what are the difficulties you are facing, please do drop in the comment section. We are there to help you. Thank you for watching this. Have an awesome day. Jai Hind.